Peekaboo. Peekaboo.
Bubbles is the real star here.
Bubbles, the star of our show, has opened. Yes, we'll get to it. Yes, absolutely. Well, yes, I've heard you. We'll get to it.
Calm down.
Get your butt out of my face. At any rate, hey everybody, Ian and Mike here, and today with us is one of our authors and the original intern, Steve himself, Nick Nethery, author of
Howdy.
of Relics of the Fallen and editor of our recent Mercs and Mayhem book. Excellent job, by the way. I may be biased.
Thank you. It's easy when the entries all rock, so.
Yeah, it is a very strong anthology, if I do say so. But one of the things we want to talk about today is it's Adventure Month at Rac Chat Press, and we're pushing a lot of our boys' books. And Nick here is the father of 4, count them, 4 lads. His wife is due to be sainted.
Already is. I mean, that poor woman.
She lives in a house full of testosterone and
awash in testosterone.
Yeah, awash in testosterone and feeding frenzies, no doubt. But so as a dad, Nick, we're talking about boys' adventure stories stuff. What are your boys into? Like, you've talked about how you watch movies with them, and you've talked about you game with them. I was telling Ian how Halo has become a rite of passage in the Nethery household.
That's
right?
Great.
Halo with Dad. Can you talk about a little bit about that and like what are the boys into?
Well, the Halo thing started because Jennifer and I, this is such a nerdy thing, but Jennifer and I got an Xbox as one of our wedding presents. And the first game we had for it was Halo. And when you're newlyweds without, 2 nickels to rub together, however you can spend time. Yeah, well, but so we played through before we had kids. We played through the first 2 or 3 Halo games because it was just something that we enjoyed doing together, and it didn't cost us too much extra money. But then when my oldest son got big enough, about 7 or 8, I just started playing through again from the first one with him, and so now I still haven't done it with the little one, but all 3 of the rest, his older brothers, I've played through all of them up to about 4. After 4 they get weird, but and then we'll play, we'll get all, several of us in the game room and play multiplayer once in a while. It's just a fun thing there's no swearing. It's not really, you're blasting aliens, but it's fake alien blood, it's not like you don't see anything really. So it's just kind of nice. And I do play some role playing, like some tabletop games with them. I have Gloomhaven set up right over there on my table over there, and the older boys and I will do that once, maybe twice a month. We'll spend a Saturday afternoon doing that. But I'm just really lucky that they all so far seem to have a taste for the same stuff I do, science fiction and fantasy mostly, but also, like you were saying, Mike, I am deliberately, as they're getting older, trying to expose them to literature. And when I say literature, I mean also movies or video games or comic books even, that kind of reinforce the values that I think kind of made this country fantastic, kind of made us
taking risks,
we fail a lot and but we always try to, what was it Churchill said? The Americans will always do the right thing. They might try everything else first, but they'll always do the right thing. I like that. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a PSA, but integrity, the strong defending the weak. You are as smart as you are and as strong and healthy as you are because God or whatever you believe put that into you so that you could use it for the benefit of others, not just for yourself. And so I like to watch. What's great for that is Western movies, like you said, Mike, because they and we went through a drought for about 20 years where they weren't making any good Westerns for a while. And
nothing I'd show a kid anyway.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Like I mean, I like Bone Tomahawk, but my Lord, what a violent, awful, and so we're just in the last, few years starting to get some good kind of tamer Westerns again. But I'm also watching, we just watched Braveheart yesterday after the ball game. We put on Braveheart with them, and it just things that reinforce to them the kind of men that make the world around them better,
Mm-hmm. It sounds like an advert for our boys' books.
Right? It's almost like we've talked about it before.
Well, and you've talked about this. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, you had talked about you were actively looking for things for your sons to read at a book fair or school or something. Tell us that story.
They still have the the old Scholastic book fairs that they have once a semester or so. No, I loved them when I was a kid. It was probably the one time that I could ask my parents for money and they would give it to me, no questions asked. So I would always ask them for at least $10 or $20 to try and get a few books growing up. And I stumbled over a lot of things I still love to this day. I bought a beautiful box set of all of the Lord of the Rings plus the Hobbit when I was in 5th or 6th grade at one of those book fairs, and they still have them. But I've noticed that like the selection is a little different than when I was a kid, when I was coming up. A lot of the books, I mean, it's hard to find one with like action, people being brave and doing daring things. You can still find a few, but like, I mean, half of the selection when I was coming up was great battles of World War II, or tales of the submarine service, or whatever, or Westerns, or some of the original detective stories that have become really famous, and that kind of define the genre. You could find, you can't find a lot of those anymore. A lot of it is coming of age and talking about like feelings, a lot of like raising animals and stuff, which I got it. Like that stuff is cool, but I mean, my boys want to.
The ew look on your face was palpable, Nick.
I mean, I just, and that's great. I mean, I'm glad that those books are out there, but I know what my boys like, and I know what I liked when I was little, and I wanted sword fights, I wanted gun fights, I wanted daring adventures where people took big risks and saved the day and stuff. And it was a big bonus for me if the hero was about my age, when I was 10 or 12. Like I wanted to see people my age having adventures and stuff. And so, yeah, you don't see a lot of that at book fairs anymore. It's hard to find it at the book section in Walmart or a Barnes and Noble. That's still there, but it's what you can find in like fantasy or science fiction. A lot of it is either adult in audience, clearly intended for an adult audience, or if it's not, it has a distressing amount of like R-rated stuff that I don't want my kids. I mean, they see enough of that. It's not like we try to shelter them a lot, but like I just want like the novel version of a PG-13 movie where fun, exciting stuff happens and the good guy wins in the end.
Willow.
So, and that's why I'm a big believer in this initiative that we're doing, because Raconteur is actively seeking out that type of story, and I like the ones that we found so far.
During 6th grade, we came back to Texas for about half a school year, and I wound up stuck in Texas 6th grade. And at the time, kids, ask your grandparents. They would issue these little pulp newsprint catalogs.
Yeah.
And then you got points for doing stuff. And we got a certain number of points. You could order books out of these little catalogs. And the very first book that I got on points was Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to send it to me. And we unasked back to Africa before it arrived. And it was a joyous day when a parcel arrived signed by the principal of the Electra school system with my book, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and had written 3x5 card. I don't know what you see in this, but I hope you like reading it or you enjoy reading it. It was great. It really was.
That's good. Good for him.
Well, and I was thinking a lot about stuff, we did as young boys, you know what I mean? And the things that appeal to young boys are I don't know. I think people almost don't understand it anymore. I was telling Ian before we started, when I was 6 years old and we were stationed in Okinawa, and my family, we lived out in the economy, and the jungle was all around us. And my mother begged me not to go playing in the jungle because of the habu snakes, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess where you could probably find me at any given moment while the sun was up? I was out there running around the jungle with my buddies, right? Turning over rocks and, exploring.
Yep.
That's what all my boyhood days, even when I lived in Texas, I recall like running up and down the creeks, exploring wherever the creek went. Where did it end up?
My mother tells what she regards as a horror story, which I regard as just plain boyish fun, of looking out the kitchen window in her bungalow, out in the cleared jungle out behind the fence where they were going to put in a tennis court, and seeing a olive baboon tear arsing across the open area, and then Dad going, "Wait for it!" and then me and Chris terracing, and then a whole bunch of native kids following us, just chasing. And I was like, "Oh God!"
Yeah, they're chaos agents, like that's what I love about it, because it's never predictable, and I like there's something to be said for boredom, like
yes,
you grow so much as a person by just being bored and not having much to do, and so
you grow by not wanting to be bored.
Yeah, well, your solution for your boredom, that's what is always just fascinating to me.
Primate twice your size through a cleared part of the jungle.
We lived
a couple of years ago, me and Nick were on the phone. You guys were still living in the Netherlands, I think, and we were on the phone chatting. And while we're talking, Nick goes, "Holy crap, is that Bryce? Hey!" And he's on the phone with me. He runs outside because his youngest son, what was he, 2 at the time? He crawled through the fence.
This was Reed. Yeah, he was,
Reed. Go ahead.
3. He might have been about 3.
He was 3.
The kid had crawled through a hole, had discovered a hole in the fence, had crawled through, and he was wandering around the neighbor's yard. And Nick's on the phone with me going, "Wait a minute, that's my kid. Hey!" And he's running outside on the phone. The neighbors already think we're weird Americans. Get your butt in here.
This poor Dutch family that lived next to us, my Lord. So by the time I got out of the front of the house and ran over into their driveway, the Dutch lady that lived there, had got him and brought him through her house, and she was bringing him outside like when I got there, and I was like, "I'm so sorry." She was like, "It's okay." And then he went in the backyard and tried to crawl through the exact same hole immediately. And I was like, "What are you doing?" He just wanted to explore, he was.
Remembering that when I was a kid, the federal government had to run a advert at 10 o'clock at night. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? And I will guarantee you, at least once my mom went, "Oh, shit."
I was 7, 8 years old on my bike, driving 5 miles, 10 miles, however long it was to take to get to the store to look at comic books or buy candy or whatever it is we were doing.
Yep.
My parents didn't expect to see me until 5 p.m.
When the sunlight came on.
Yeah, same.
there was another thing that brought this on was Mike saw, or Mike or Nick, Mike, one of you two saw a Facebook thing with a woman got a tattooed boy mom.
Oh, that was Fred Phillips wrote an article about that on
yeah.
Substack.
Yeah.
And around the tattoo were stitches and a broken bone and a pocket knife. And on Facebook, the comments were all, what does that got to do with boys?
Yeah, so there's like a losing touch of what, I mean, not that we're not saying don't be safe, but safety third, as Mike Rowe would say.
I was telling Mike, when I was 14, I had a dedicated pair of nail clippers for taking stitches out. I knew 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
2 weeks and you can get those bad boys out. And I would, 2 weeks and 1 minute, I'd be clipping stitches out.
My wife and I have this running gag that, yeah, of course we're in the ER all the time because the boys will always try and find a new way to kill themselves this week, jumping off something tall or trying to cut open a box with, but the gag is not that we're in the ER all the time. The gag is they're always filthy. They're always filthy because they've been rolling around in the dirt or they've been throwing rocks at each other or something, and like they're filthy. And we're always like, the people at the ER must think we're the worst parents because it's one thing to bring in a kid with a broken, elbow or something. It's another if he's covered in mud, like.
If he's a boy, if they have boys, they understand.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what it is. I think if you don't have boy, or maybe if you only have one boy, like, so we're the only ones on either side of our family. I think we're the only one of, me and my wife and her siblings. We're the only ones that have more than one boy. They all either have only girl or boy and girl. And the first few times we were all together, when we would come back home from Europe on leave, the boys would just punch each other right in the face, and everyone else in the family would go, "Oh my gosh!" And me and Jen would go, "No, that's how they communicate. They're fine. That's like that's just that's boys. That's what we do." And like it's just, I think that's why those people are confused, because they just, you must not have one or only one.
They're so nerfed that they're not boys anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
I had a buddy in the Marine Corps who said he has never hit anyone as hard as his own brother. Like the hardest he ever hit anyone was he laid out a bunch of nice clothes for himself to wear at school the next day, and he gets up in the morning and has breakfast, and his brother's wearing the clothes that he laid out for himself. Because I never hit somebody so hard in my life.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, Lord. And Rac Press, we need, like you said earlier, we need to publish books that, celebrate that part of being a boy.
Mm-hmm. Embrace that chaos.
Yeah, there's chaos, and they're going to break bones, and they're going to be filthy.
Yep.
And you're going to have to tell them 3 times a day, it ain't going to fall off. Get your hands off it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it ain't going to fall off.
Or put on deodorant every day.
Let go of the worry stone.
Yeah.
Let go of your best friend since 6th grade. He's going to be fine.
Oh, boy. Man. Well, and, and that's another thing, Nick. Like, what do you see them, do your boys like to read anything in particular, or is school ruining for them? What are they into?
So the little ones are addicted right now to Dog Man, the graphic novel, the little comic booky type books.
Okay.
Dog Man, and I think it's by that same cat that writes the Captain Underpants series. They like Wimpy Kid, those books.
Oh, Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Yeah, they love those. The older ones got really into Hank the Cowdog a few years ago. And those were around when I was a kid. They're pretty old now. And there's like 80 something of them, John Erickson, I think he wrote just dozens of them, and they're fun and they're funny. And again, they're not R-rated,
Right.
and then my oldest is just having a lot of assigned reading in school lately, so he's not doing a ton of leisure reading. But I mean, he really likes those. They're a series called Great Great Battles for Boys,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and there's one about World War One, and there's one about. I mean, there's a lot about World War Two. There's one about like the Peloponnesian War, and there's Agincourt, and there's all. I mean, they're each collection is from a different era, you know, or they might be about like only about like naval battles. But he really likes those, and I like them too. They're really fun, you know. And we can talk about him after he's done with them. He and the two oldest, both of them really like those. So that's cool. They get not only entertainment, but they're also like learn. It's like a sneaky way to get them to learn too, you know. So
That's right.
yeah, they're so that's what they're all kind of into at the moment. And I kind of have a rule that like if they ask me for a book, in general, I just buy it for them. You know, like I don't make them. Like my parents kind of had that rule, and I think they did. That was pretty good. My sister and I both grew up learning, loving to read, and that's what I want for them because it's kind of like a cheat code to access whole realms of experience that you might not get to otherwise.
Oh yeah. I remember, you know, if I asked for a book in a bookstore, I could almost guarantee that I could get it as a kid.
Yeah.
My mom didn't care what I was reading.
Yeah.
You know.
There were some limits to what I was allowed to buy or what I was allowed to read, but not a lot. If it wasn't hardcore porn from the engineer's bunkhouse, I'd have at it.
Well, first book I was allowed to pick off the shelf was Robert E. Howard.
Oh, heck
Nice.
yes. Yeah.
Nice.
We're talking about skulls getting split to the teeth and the tavern.
I remember reading there was I think it was Tarzan. And I remember one of my first insights into the human condition because in this book, a couple of the bad guys had gotten sacks of gold. And it had to be Tarzan because they were in Africa. And they were injured, and there was a stream within. They could hear a stream, and they were thirsty and dying of thirst. And neither one would leave their sacks of gold because they were afraid if they went to the stream, the other guy would steal it. And in that chapter they died there. And I remember thinking, that's a hell. I have a new insight on humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan book, which I read every one of.
I read a lot of Tom Clancy. I was kind of a Tom Clancy nerd when I was, 12, which probably wasn't appropriate for my age at the time. But that and the first few books that John Grisham did, like The Firm, I read those when I was a kid too. But I mean, those were the kind of the non-fantasy and sci-fi stuff. But I remember being in 5th grade and I was reading The Firm. 5th grade? Yeah, it must have been 5th grade. And one of my mom's friends saw it and was like, "Are you really letting him read that?" And she was like, "He's reading. Who can, like he's reading.
Yeah.
Like that's all I need to hear."
I was in high school and I brought home Neuromancer, William Gibson's Neuromancer.
Oh, nice.
Which I thought was a terrible book. I read it through twice, thought it was a terrible book. But one of my mom's friends saw me carry in and said, "You're letting your son read. You let your teenager read that."
Yeah.
And like yours, my mom said he's reading. Leave him alone.
Yep. Good for her.
Oh man. So do your boys particularly like any genre or just general adventure? Or like, are they watching
mayhem, chaos?
Yeah, pretty much anything that blows up or swords or shooting or anything. The older boys both really like Westerns because we've been watching a lot of them. And they haven't been reading so much of this, but they've started to get into heist movies like Inside Man, The Sting, French Connection.
Ocean's 11.
Yeah, exactly. Those are, so I think maybe another year or two they'll actually start maybe reading some of those great old detective and kind of crime drama books, like The Hunter, or like the Friends of Eddie Coyle, those kinds of.
Oh,
those
yeah,
kinds of books.
yeah. Hey, didn't you say one of the boys was reading Mercs and Mayhem the other day?
Yeah. I think he just read my story in it so far, but he read all of
It's a start.
but I think he read all of the Space Cowboys one that I was in too. But I was really proud because he ran in one night. He was reading it and he ran in, and there's a part in that story where there are these big genetically engineered spiders. They're huge. They're like 3 feet across, and they've been genetically modified to get huge so that they can be used for silk farming, right? And they get loose in this spaceship, and he ran in and was like, "Giant spiders, zero gravity. This is so cool." And that's like the happiest day of my life, because I was like, yes, that is exactly why I wanted to write that. So
I remember seeing an interview with the rocket surgeons at NASA on the first moon launches, and the little Bimbette doing the interview asked them what their guiding light, and every one of them said reading John Carter of Mars when I was a boy.
Yeah.
So if pulp fiction can put us on the moon, I would dearly love to see what our books do in 20 or 30 years.
That would be great. I think all the time about when The Martian came out, and both of my older boys really liked that, read it and loved the movie. But I thought quite a bit when they were first getting into that story. Like, I wonder if this will, if they're going to be physicist or some kind of NASA kind of person, and that's I think about that a lot. So that's a good point.
I hadn't thought about it before, but you talk about a boy's book, because he just hits one problem at a time and just solves it. One problem at a time until he gets out of the issue, and that'll probably upset somebody to think that that's almost a boy's, a male centric way of approaching everything.
He's a problem solver, like it doesn't matter what you feel. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter how lonely you are.
Lifeboat equations, cold equations don't care.
Yeah.
Lifeboat math doesn't care.
Yep.
Oh, man. All right, guys, we are about 28 minutes in, which is almost our time is up. Nick, thanks for hanging out with us this evening.
Thank y'all.
I think we had a great little discussion about Boys Adventure, and we will be producing more for you and your kids. It's Christmas. Christmas is coming. Get your boys some good adventure reading, folks. And we got it right here at Rac Chat Press.
All right, guys. I'm going to hang on while I attempt to end this thing. You piece of monkey shit.